Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Metropolis Radio. Today, we are talking about the uncertain future of movie tie-ins. Now, I don't know about any of you guys listening to this, but I personally grew up playing a lot of these like movie and TV show tie-in games. I was too young to play Grand Theft Auto back in the mid 2000s, but the one game I did play was The Simpsons Hit and Run. I also played the Fairly Odd Parents games. I believe I only played Breaking Daw Rules. I never played the second one, whatever that was called. I believe it was Shadow Showdown. I played all the Spider-Man games, that a real herp-a-derp there. Spider-Man being insanely popular back in the, early to mid 2000s. But anyway, before I tangent off for too long, let's dig into this article from Game Rant here, because I do think that they bring up some good points with it. In the byline here is, it used to be the case that every game store shelves would be stacked with movie tie-in games, but times have changed and licensed titles are rare. Yes, it's not just the movie tie-in games. It's not just, the Lord of the Rings Return of the King video game. It's just, it's licensed games in general. Like, I believe the last James Bond game that we got was back in 2012. Yeah, this was before IO Interactive. I was right. IO Interactive, the guys that develop Hitman, are developing a James Bond game. But still, we've gone now, as of the time of the uploading of this, it's been nine, close to 10 years since the last time we ever got a James Bond video game. The video game market has always been a diverse one. Even since the days of the NES, there have been multiple varying genres and even subgenres of games. And while gaming trends do adapt and change just as regularly as other markets, there are some genres and types of games that stick around long after their use-by date. Licensed video games, particularly those based directly on movies, were one such gaming trend that stuck around for a long, long time. Many gamers will remember walking into the local game store on a Saturday afternoon as a child, a few coins burning a hole in their pocket, looking for that next video game fix, and being met with shelves upon shelves of Pixar, Disney, DreamWorks, James Bond, and Star Wars games. There was no better feeling, but now the future is uncertain. While movie tie-in games have been around since the early days of home consoles, with Raiders of the Lost Ark releasing on the Atari 2600 in 1982, I believe Empire Strikes Back came out around the same time, or it came out a year later. It was one of those two. They really hit their commercial stride with the 6th generation of video game consoles. That was the Sega Dreamcast, PlayStation 2, original Xbox, and GameCube, for those that don't know. I know the vast majority of you guys listening to this probably already knew that, but just, in case those one or two come along and it's like, oh, what was the 6th generation of video game consoles? The PlayStation 2 and original Xbox in particular played a large role in the popularity of movie tie-in games, and while many titles were branded as mediocre shovelware games designed as a simple cash grab, there were a few licensed games that really stood out in the video game market, with some even coming close to first-party experiences. One of the most popular movie tie-ins was Spider-Man 2. Yes, that game released back in 2004, releasing concurrently with the Sam Raimi movie of the same year. At the time, the game received a good deal of critical acclaim, with many outlets expressing their surprise that a movie tie-in game was capable of being so ambitious and succeeding for the most part. The game still has countless fans today who often still praise the game's web-slinging mechanics, its combat, and its rogues gallery. Spider-Man 2 stood out amongst the crowd by actually delivering upon the promise of bringing the movie it was imitating to life, capturing the indescribable feeling of quote-unquote being Spider-Man. Of course, everyone has their own favorite movie tie-in game from their childhood, whether that's one of the surprisingly open action adventure Harry Potter titles, or one of the many excellent Star Wars games of the time. While the general popularity of these games largely came from the recognizability of the characters and license, the best tie-ins also did a great job at easing new players into the world of gaming. And personally, one of my favorite movie tie-in games when I was growing up was actually the SpongeBob SquarePants movie game. I actually never played Battle for Bikini Bottom until the rehydrated edition came out, because I heard that the SpongeBob SquarePants movie video game was a spiritual successor to Battle for Bikini Bottom, and I wanted to play it. And finally, when they re-released the rehydrated edition, of course I picked it up on the PS4. Why wouldn't I? Since I love the SpongeBob SquarePants movie game. The majority of tie-in games knew that their market was predominantly kids, and the best ones embraced this and took it upon themselves to use their game as a tutorial for the wider video game genre. For instance, Peter Jackson's King Kong may have been someone's first-person shooter, and The Lord of the Rings: The Two Towers may have been a child's first introduction to the hack and slash genre. I'm going to speak for myself personally. That was my first hack and slash game, was Lord of the Rings: The Two Towers. Again, the Lord of the Rings: Two Towers came out when? Was that 2002? Like 2002, 2003, when that game came out. I don't remember if the movie and the game released simultaneously, but I was way too young at the time to play Devil May Cry. So, it's basically, here you go, play Lord of the Rings: The Two Towers. It's basically the same thing. So, yeah, Lord of the Rings: Two Towers, one of my first hack and slash game. Also, Star Wars: Republic Commando was the very first tactical shooter that I ever played. So by the time I got to a game like Ghost Recon, I was already quite familiar with the genre. The best movie tie-in games gradually teach the young players genre-specific mechanics that they can use for the rest of their lives, and do so in a low-stakes, calm environment. Well, and another thing that I forgot to bring up, how many kids, oh, son of a bitch, I got something stuck in my throat. But getting back to my point, how many kids growing up in the early 2000s, maybe they didn't have Super Mario 64, but they had SpongeBob Battle for Bikini Bottom or the SpongeBob SquarePants movie game. That was their first foray into 3D platforming. So there is a good case to be made. Also with the Lego games, those were the Lego games are 3D platformers. They're more open ended now, but back in my day, back prior to like 2010, 2011, the games were a lot more platforming and puzzle based than they are now. Where was I? Oh, here we go. But the movie tie-in market wasn't all hits. No, it wasn't. There was a lot of shit. And the eventual oversaturation of the market, with multiple tie-ins appearing for every new Cars movie and obscure action title, led to the commercial downfall of the movie tie-in game. Fortunately, all hope isn't lost just yet. Scooby-Dooby-Doo, where are you? We got some work. After movie tie-in games started to become less financially lucrative, studios started to pack their proverbial bags. So despite a few Disney games every few years or so, the movie tie-in market dried up and licensed properties had to look elsewhere for interactive integration. Enter Fortnite. Oh, whoopee-doo! I've personally never played Fortnite. I know that game is in a decline, finally. Along with the whole like battle royale genre as a whole. I always saw battle royale modes as nothing but gimmicks. Fortnite is the biggest game in the world right now. I believe it's in a decline, and I'm about to say that it's about time that the battle royale genre is in a decline, because I think that the allure of those games kind of wore, the magic, whatever you want to call it, it finally wore off. Whilst many dismiss it as merely a free-to-play multiplayer game for kids, it's actually one of the most intuitive, rewarding, and accessible video games on the market right now, which is exactly why it's remained one of the most popular video games of the last 4 years. Licensed properties, and movie tie-ins specifically, are also attributed to Fortnite's vast success. During Fortnite's first season, a John Wick skin was added, letting players dress up as a cartoony Keanu Reeves. Well, see, if Fortnite was only for kids, why did they add in a John Wick skin, a skin of a character from an R-rated movie? So Fortnite is not just for kids. Therefore, this author here just made their point moot. With here, whilst many dismiss it as merely a free-to-play multiplayer game for kids, the John Wick skin just proved Fortnite is not just for kiddos. This opened the floodgate up for licensed characters, and the game was soon full with skins from across the popular zeitgeist. Thanos, Rick Sanchez, Wolverine, Master Chief, Chun-Li, Batman. Practically any popular character of the last 4 years has made their way over to Fortnite at one point or another, often appearing as part of a movie's promotional campaign, like the new Spider-Man skin being released to coincide with No Way Home. With all of its licensed characters, Fortnite now offers the same level of recognizability that was once only available through movie tie-in games, and with Fortnite being free on every current console and mobile device, the game is more accessible than any 6th generation movie tie-in. Fortnite also goes one step further than just adding recognizable characters and often features large-scale crossover events like its Galactus finale that incorporate various iconic characters, creating moments that can be talked about on the playground the following day. Fortnite is also being constantly updated on a regular basis, which keeps it from getting stale for many longtime players. The updates, its free-to-play nature, and the sheer accessibility of the game all combine to make it perhaps the best movie tie-in game of all time, but it might not be that way forever. While Fortnite could currently be the king of the long-defunct movie tie-in genre, there is room for the genre to spread its wings once more. The new Matrix Awakens game gives a slight glimpse at the possibility of future licensed games, and while upcoming releases like Star Wars Eclipse and Indiana Jones show how old IPs are being reimagined, it may also open the door for more direct movie tie-ins going forward. And see, I don't think that relying on Fortnite is a great long-term strategy, because as this article brought up earlier in the previous section, let me try to find it here. When it's like, okay, yeah, the majority of tie-in games, the market was predominantly kids, and they go into, for instance, Peter Jackson's King Kong may have been somebody's first-person shooter. Lord of the Rings 2 Towers, their first hack-and-slash game. Star Wars Republic Commando was probably somebody's very first tactical shooter. The SpongeBob SquarePants movie game or SpongeBob Battle for Bikini Bottom, probably a kid's first 3D platformer. See, these games were used to, to teach the younger players how to play these specific genres before throwing them in head first. It was a good entry point into this. The problem with solely relying on Fortnite is that you're just training people on how to be good at online third-person shooters. It's not that great to keep a diverse game market going. If there are no movie tie-in games that could, be somebody's very first hack-and-slash game, somebody's very first-person shooter, somebody's very first puzzle game, like those old Lego games were. Like I said, the Lego games now are are way more open and less puzzle-focused than they were, like, prior to 2010, 2011. So how is this going to fare for the video game market going forward? I actually attribute it to the video game market getting more and more homogenized as time went on, because now you don't see as many hack and slash games, really coming out. I think the last big one to really come out was Devil May Cry 5. And even then, that game came out quite at least a few years ago. I think it was like 2017 or 2018. Tactical shooters is all but a dead genre. RTS, real-time strategy, is all but a dead genre. But this is where the licensed games could thrive, and you could use it as a, hey, this is, here's where you can get your start, little Timmy, little Jimmy, or someone that wants to maybe, get into the genre. Quick jump cut, guys, because I lost my train of thought. So, people are now saying about modern gaming, oh, why is it like so homogenized? Everything is just, open world, first person shooter, tower climbing, collectathon. I have to admit that this is maybe one of the factors, is the fact that licensed games have basically all but died within the last 10 years. And guys, that's all I've got for you. If you stuck around this long, thanks so much for doing so. And if you've been following me long enough, I'm terrible at ending these videos. So I'll just see you guys next time.